For decades, the name Boeing was synonymous with American ingenuity, engineering excellence, and unwavering trust in the skies. Its aircraft were feats of precision, transporting millions safely across continents. The image of a Boeing jet, meticulously assembled, represented the pinnacle of industrial achievement. But beneath this gleaming facade, a subtle yet profound shift began to take hold. A transformation that, according to numerous industry analyses, gradually reoriented the company's core values, ultimately leading to unprecedented challenges. The pivot point, many argue, arrived with a significant cultural shift in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Boeing, once famously run by engineers, began to prioritize financial metrics and shareholder value above all else. This strategic redirection, highlighted in various business school case studies, saw a fundamental re-evaluation of how the company operated. The focus moved from long-term engineering investment and design integrity to short-term gains, stock price optimization, and aggressive cost-cutting measures. This wasn't an abrupt change, but a gradual, systemic evolution. A critical juncture in this transformation was the merger with McDonnell Douglas in 1997. This acquisition, as detailed in several investigative reports, brought with it a different corporate philosophy, one deeply rooted in defense industry practices and a more aggressive, financially driven management style. Many analysts suggest that this merger wasn't just about combining two aerospace giants, it was a clash of cultures, where the McDonnell Douglas ethos, emphasizing cost reduction and shareholder returns, ultimately prevailed over Boeing's traditional engineering-first approach. Following the merger, an intense focus on cost reduction became pervasive. Reports from former employees and industry insiders describe a relentless mandate to streamline operations, often at the expense of established quality control processes and experienced personnel. This wasn't merely about efficiency, it was about maximizing profit margins to satisfy investor demands. Supply chains were restructured, components outsourced to lower-cost providers, and internal engineering resources were increasingly stretched thin. The trade-off, according to critics, was a gradual erosion of institutional knowledge and oversight. This cultural shift and financial pressure had a tangible impact on Boeing's most valuable asset, its engineers. Over the years, anecdotal accounts and internal reports suggest a significant exodus of experienced engineers, many of whom felt their expertise was no longer valued as highly as financial metrics. These departures represented a loss of decades of institutional knowledge, especially in critical areas like flight control systems and manufacturing quality. Replacing this deep experience with newer, less experienced staff or by automating processes, while cost-effective, carried unforeseen risks. The increasing disconnect between the corporate boardroom and the factory hangar became a defining characteristic. While engineers grappled with design challenges and manufacturing complexities, corporate leadership focused on financial instruments like stock buybacks and dividend payouts. For example, analysis over various periods indicates that a substantial portion of the company's free cash flow was allocated to these shareholder incentives, rather than reinvesting in infrastructure, research and development, or employee training. This strategic choice underscores the core prioritization. This prioritization manifested in tangible ways. Consider the trade-off: a design modification that could enhance safety but adds significant production cost, versus a cheaper alternative that meets minimum regulatory standards. In the new corporate climate, the pressure to choose the more cost-effective option intensified. Industry insiders suggest that, at times, financial considerations appeared to weigh more heavily in critical design and certification decisions, as opposed to solely focusing on robust engineering principles and safety margins. The objective shifted from best possible to sufficient for approval. As internal processes became leaner, so too did aspects of regulatory oversight. Reports from various journalistic investigations indicate instances where the relationship between Boeing and its regulators became perhaps too close, or where self-certification processes were expanded without commensurate increases in oversight rigor. The objective of expediting aircraft certification to meet delivery schedules and satisfy shareholders inadvertently created vulnerabilities. The traditional checks and balances, designed to ensure aircraft safety, faced unprecedented strains under commercial pressures. The drive for efficiency and reduced costs also led to significant production bottlenecks. With aggressive delivery targets set to impress investors, factories often struggled to maintain quality under pressure. Media reports documented instances of unfinished work moving down the assembly line, components being installed out of sequence, and a general acceleration that, according to quality control experts, increased the risk of errors. This wasn't necessarily malice, but a direct consequence of a system optimized for speed and cost over meticulous craftsmanship. Amidst these systemic shifts, the human element, the skilled mechanics, engineers, and quality inspectors, faced immense pressure. Whistleblower accounts, though often anonymous, paint a picture of employees being encouraged to overlook minor issues to keep production moving, or facing repercussions for flagging problems that would delay schedules. This culture, where financial incentives overshadowed safety concerns, eroded morale and trust. When the frontline workers feel disempowered to uphold quality, the integrity of the final product inevitably suffers, as several sociological studies on industrial safety confirm. The consequences of these cumulative decisions, driven by a financial-first approach, eventually became undeniable. While no specific incidents are cited here without detailed source material, the industry has observed a pattern where once rare quality issues became more frequent, and previously minor anomalies escalated into significant concerns. This erosion of quality, documented by aviation safety organizations, directly impacted the trust that airlines and passengers had placed in the brand. The legendary reliability, a cornerstone of Boeing's identity, began to falter, raising uncomfortable questions about priorities. The most striking visual representation of this crisis of trust in quality has been the sight of grounded fleets. Airports around the globe, once bustling with Boeing aircraft, have, at various points, seen rows of these jets sitting idle. This isn't just a logistical nightmare for airlines, it's a profound statement on the state of affairs at the company. Each grounded plane represents lost revenue, disrupted travel, and a stark reminder that when the emphasis shifts from product integrity to financial metrics, the real-world impact can be catastrophic and widely visible. The stock market, initially rewarding Boeing for its focus on shareholder value, eventually reacted to the mounting quality and safety concerns. While specific stock figures are not provided here, general market analysis would show a downturn in investor confidence, reflecting the broader impact of reputation damage and potential financial liabilities. The irony is stark. The very focus on stock price and corporate greed that many argue initiated the decline ultimately led to a devaluation, demonstrating that short-term gains often cannot sustain long-term value, especially in an industry built on absolute trust. Boeing faces an arduous journey to reclaim its former stature. The path to recovery, as outlined by aviation experts, involves a fundamental reorientation, placing engineering excellence, safety, and quality at the absolute forefront, above all other considerations. This means significant investment in internal processes, re-empowering engineers, and fostering a culture where transparency and accountability are paramount. It requires a long-term vision, moving beyond quarterly earnings reports to focus on the decades of safe flight that built its legacy. It is a cultural, not merely a financial, challenge. The story of Boeing serves as a potent case study for global corporations. It underscores the critical balance required between financial performance and fundamental product integrity, especially in sectors where safety is paramount. When corporate decisions are overwhelmingly driven by short-term stock price movements and shareholder demands, without robust checks and balances, the consequences can be profound and far-reaching. The aviation industry, in particular, cannot afford such trade-offs. The skies demand unwavering reliability, built on a foundation of uncompromised engineering and ethical leadership. The challenges faced by Boeing are not isolated. They serve as a cautionary tale for the entire industrial sector. When companies become too large, too dominant, and too focused on short-term financial gains, the systemic risks multiply. The story highlights how critical infrastructure, be it aviation, energy, or transportation, requires a foundational commitment to safety and quality that transcends market fluctuations. The lessons learned here extend far beyond the aerospace industry, touching upon fundamental questions of corporate governance and societal responsibility in the 21st century.